Hey, it's Mike. Thanks for tuning back in. Way back in October, almost 4 months ago now, I did a video on Grails, and it was spurned by a tweet by those back pages where he said something to do with Grail cards couldn't be less than $500. And so I asked you for your feedback on Grail cards, and you emailed me, maybe about 10 to 12 of you emailed me your Grails and some stories and things. So I'm going to go through those. Uh, when I post this, I will be in Dallas, but obviously I'm home recording it. Just kind of a nice filler video for me. So here we go. First up is Jefferson McLaughlin. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. It could be McLaughlin. I'm going to say McLaughlin. And then his last name is important here, and you'll see why in a second. He says, "Hey, Mike, my Grail card is the N172 Old Judge Tom McLaughlin. After spending the last few years trying to keep up with the crazy prices in the hobby, I decided to figure out a more cost effective way to amass a cool collection. I came up with the idea of obtaining one card from every major baseball set from 1887 to 1957 of players with a last name that start with MC, like mine, McLaughlin does. This is to chronicle the history of baseball cards from when they were first widely made and distributed to when the size and format of cards as they are today was first standardized. I did a lot of research, and as luck would have it, there is exactly one different player from every major set in those 70 years that fits the bill. Better yet, 1887 to 1888, Allen and Ginter and Goodwin champions both have a different player named McLaughlin in their sets, though one is a wrestler and one is a jockey. To my delight, I also found a McLaughlin in the Old Judge baseball set from the same time period. Even though there are other mix in the massive N172 checklist, I need to get the one with my last name. Unfortunately, he is a part of the extremely rare spotted tie subset where commons in poor condition routinely sell for $1,500 to $3,000 and only pop for sale every few years. Yeah, I did a video on the spotted tie subset not too long ago, so that's interesting. I could spend a few hundred on other players from the set that fit my criteria, but all the other cards on my list are relatively cheap and easy to find. And what is a collection without a white whale? I'll probably have fun searching for this card my whole life, and that's what it's really about. Also, he has the worst batting average of all time for a player with at least 1,000 plate appearances, which I find really awesome. So that's fun. Uh, nice, fun story from Jefferson. Next up is from Jeff. Jeff says, Mike, when one uses the term Grail, it should not be a card that can be found on eBay within a few months of searching. I don't think a Grail card necessarily has to be super expensive. It depends on the player. If someone's favorite player is someone that made a few all star appearances and nothing more noteworthy, their Grail card may only run $1,000. If your favorite player is Ken Griffey Jr., your Grail card will more than likely cost tens of thousands of dollars. A Grail card is supposed to be the ultimate. If your ultimate card can be had for a few $100, you need to dream bigger. So I disagree with Jeff here. I mean, what if he collects some obscure player and his most expensive card is only a few $100, but it's extremely rare? It never comes up. It's a one of one from like 2012, and it never just you just never see it. So I get what Jeff is saying. I disagree, but I appreciate his feedback here. He goes on to say his favorite player is Jose Canseco. I recently obtained one of the two grails I was looking for. I was able to get the 1998 Precious Metal Gems Canseco in the highest grade to date, PSA 8. My other grail would be a 1997 Flair Showcase Legacy Masterpiece one of one Row Zero Canseco. I have never seen it to date. And yeah, I searched for this and I was able to find the Flair Showcase numbered to 100 row zero. I'm not sure if it's the same exact card, just with a slight difference. I know back then there was more differences in photos than you see today for the most part, but very cool, Jeff. Thank you. Next up is Gary, who says, first of all, I think the comment the fella made about a Grail card having to be over $500 is stupid. First of all, I like anybody who uses the word fella. It's immediate. Uh, hey, fella, I like it. He goes on to say, to me, a Grail card is any card that is at the top of your want list, and also believe that Grail card can be ever changing. Mine was a rookie, Ricky Henderson. Have two now, a PSA 6 and an ungraded one. Then it was a Travis Kelsey Topps rookie. I now have a PSA 10 and 9 and several ungraded. So now my Grail is a PSA 10 Gary Barbaro rookie card. As soon as I pick it up, my Grail card would change. Very cool. I love how Gary sets goals for himself and then reaches them. All right, next one is up from Rob Sagati from the YouTube channel Commenting Collector. Great contributor here. He writes, in terms of the Grail card that I've already obtained, as you know, unopened are one of my collecting focuses. In my first YouTube video, I showed my 1965 unopened Gilligan's Island pack. And side note here, if you actually Google 1965 Gilligan's Island Topps wax pack, you will find this video in the first like 5 or 6 results. So pretty cool for Rob. He goes on to say, so that is my Grail, and I bought early on as a collector of unopened for over 4 figures because it was once in a lifetime item, and I anticipated it only costing more the longer I waited. Subsequent REA auctions have proved my intuition correct. I actually found one on eBay that's currently for sale for $2,500. So I don't know how close to $1,000 Rob paid. And it's also in a GAI slab. All right. And Rob continues to say, in terms of affordable Grail card that I'm still pursuing, I had previously shared with you how in 1980 I fell in love with George Brett as he pursued the magical 400 mark during that season when he ended up settling for 390. For that reason, he became my favorite player. Therefore, the last few years, 1975 Brett rookie in a PSA 8 or better became my Grail card. Total price with shipping, taxes, and fees, they're currently selling for about $1,000. With 2 seniors looking at college, for the time being, unfortunately, I'm going to need to continue to be patient, hoping the price will come down, but I'm not holding my breath. Very cool, Rob. Thank you for sending that over. Next up, I have a DJ card from DJ. He says, hello, my Grail card is below. As a kid, collecting during 87 to 2001, now collecting again 2001 to current. I always wanted a rare limited autograph of Derek Jeter. When COVID hit, I got bored and started collecting again, this time with my kids. However, this time I have a bit more fun money to spend and now hunting these cards, which are very hard to find, especially the 1992 Little Sun autograph, numbered to 250. Little Sun Auto is one of his first ever autographs during high school. I finally found one and now on the hunt to buy every pack pulled autograph from 1992 to 96 of Derek Jeter. I'm still 4 cards short, but one is on the way in the mail, so down to 3. Very cool, DJ. The Little Sun autograph, this one is in an old SGC autograph holder, but I looked it up on PSA. There are 6 autographed in the PSA DNA pop report. So very cool, very rare to get one of these autographed. Awesome stuff, DJ. Tom writes into me, hey, Mike, I just wanted to show my Grail card. It's my ultra rare 1964 Venezuelan Topps Pete Rose. Believe it or not, this was at my local card show and was looking for it about a year ago, but never actually got one. So I decided to research Venezuelans in the meantime. It's an SGC Pop 16 with PSA around 70 total copies, while the base Topps is around 5,000 between SGC and PSA. Yeah, that is awesome. And it's a beauty. Venezuelans are notoriously rough in quality, and this did get a 1, but it looks great. It's really nicely centered, at least left to right, and even the top to bottom isn't terrible. Nice pickup. And I'm working on a video about Venezuelan Topps. It's a bit of a bear. It's going to take me weeks probably. Next up is from Mike. Mike writes to me. He says, hi, Mike. I wanted to reach out and share some ideas I had about Grail cards. I'm 41 and I've collected cards off and on since I was around 6 years old. The first single card I had to have was a 1988 Wade Boggs All-Star card. I think I paid 50 cents. I took what seems to be a common hiatus in my late teens and all throughout my 20s. Regrettably, when I picked the hobby back up, it was somewhat unintentional. In my early 30s, I was getting into coins, and one day, while at a local shop, I was lucky enough to arrive about an hour after the owner had just acquired a collection of not just coins, but also other 40s wartime memorabilia and a handful of baseball cards. There were 2 1939 play ball Ted Williams rookie cards. One was graded SGC 7 and the other was raw. Intrigued and not really knowing much about Ted's rookie card, I asked what he wanted for the raw one. I was fortunate enough to get it for a few $100s. A few years later, I had it graded at PSA and it received a 2. As the hobby changed before and after the pandemic boom, I've only grown to appreciate the card more and more. So while I haven't had it on my hit list and had to chase it, it was a card that propelled me back into the hobby we all love. I can't imagine ever letting the card go, and so it has evolved into my Grail card. Yeah, that's really cool. And I know the Ted Williams is a really, really popular card, 39. I'm not a fan. I think his stance is really, really strange. The photo is strange. I'm a much bigger fan of the 41 play ball, and that is my current Grail card. All right, one other quick point from Mike. He writes, as I mentioned earlier, I took a break from collecting during the mid 90s and most of the 2000s. This also happens to be a period that spans the career of one of my favorite players, John Olerud. Flash forward to today, we have the internet and eBay. Over the past several months, I've been seeking out rare serial numbered John Olerud cards that were never on my radar during his playing days. Learning about and acquiring rare John Olerud cards is now the most enjoyable part of the hobby for me. These are my new Grail cards. So I guess the point I'm trying to make is that there's no right or wrong answer to what makes a Grail card. For whatever reason, you must have it. And once you have it, you can't let it go. Very cool. Love this stuff. Thanks, Mike. Next up is RC. He says, hi, Mike. I wanted to submit an entry for your upcoming Grail video. I grew up in Puerto Rico, and my interest in baseball began watching the WBC team make some amazing plays, even to someone like me who didn't follow baseball at the time. Long story short, I got into collecting baseball cards and have focused my collection on subsets of Puerto Rican Hall of Famers Clemente, Orlando Cepeda, Edgar Martinez, Roberto Alomar, and Ivan Rodriguez. The fact that there are only 5 of them makes it a more achievable goal. I've included a photo that shows some examples, a 2022 Topps Chrome Platinum Anniversary set and a Topps Living set. In the middle, though, I'm missing the card that eludes me, 2004 Topps Clubhouse Collection Edgar Martinez. With all of the subsets I've collected, I had decided it would be nice to collect one of the game-used memorabilia. I settled on this because it had a good balance of attainability and eye appeal, to me at least. You'd think the hardest ones to attain would be Clemente or Cepeda, but alas, it is Martinez I cannot find. The kicker for all the value haters out there, last eBay comp is approximately $12. Highest COMC sale is $10. I've been offering 25 in various forms and still can't find him. As a Puerto Rican living in Seattle, I can only enjoy the irony that the one that eludes me is him. Great, thanks, RC. Mike D writes in, hey, Mike, my definition of a Grail card is the one card you've been searching for any meaningful amount of time and once gotten would either fill a hole in your collection or is just so rare that it is an accomplishment in and of itself to acquire. My Grail card is the 1911 Z-Nut Orville Kilroy Oakland Oaks that I've been searching for at least 4 years now. Orville Kilroy was one of 32 minor league baseball players who were killed in the First World War. 8 former Major League Baseball players were killed, and Orville is one of the few that had a baseball card. My collection is based around players who served in the First World War or Second World War. There are some amazing stories like Orville's with his sacrifice for the nation, and his small mark on the game is represented on a small piece of cardboard. But it's a labor of love, as I've had to delve deep into pre-war minor league cards and been getting into vintage Japanese baseball cards to collect their players who also served in World War II. That is really, really interesting and unique. I love that. Thanks, Mike. And that is it. I appreciate everybody for submitting them and for watching. Let me know which one of these was your favorite. Feel free to comment what your Grail card is if you weren't included here. I'd love to hear it. Thanks.